Hey guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over a story titled Seeking Advice on How to Handle the Situation. And guys, this story is about a young guy who got married and discovered after 1 year of marriage and having a child that his wife was having an affair with the neighbor, okay? And so he then confronts the neighbor's wife about this, letting her know what's going on, and then he tells his wife that it's over. We're getting a divorce, that's it, right? And of course she cries and begs him to change his mind, all that shit. But no, that's it, it's over. Comes home the next day or a couple days later, and lo and behold, she's gone. She takes off completely with the neighbor, the guy she was having the affair with, and leaves their 6-month-old child abandoned there in the crib crying and all that, okay? Great mother, huh? So basically she's out of his life, and the guy moves on, raises the son on his own, and after 10 years out of the blue, he gets an email from her basically wanting to see her son, wanting to get her family back, all that. Crazy, right? And of course, you're going to see what happens here. So, and I'm doing this, guys, to show you, in this day and age, unfortunately, a couple gets divorced or they split up. By and large, the children are always going to go to the mother. And what's really unfortunate is that you got a lot of great guys out there that are great fathers, do everything they can for the kids, but they can also have really crappy mothers. But still, generally, the courts are going to award custody to the mothers, even if they're lousy mothers, and in some cases, awful mothers. And so it's really crazy that this goes on. And so I'm doing this story to show you as an example of great father and a horrible mother. And, we have the feminists always babbling on about equality and equal rights and everything. Well, here's something to start with equal rights and equality. How about that the children don't always go with the mother? Okay, because you got great fathers out there that are better than the mothers. So I'm going to share this story. Starts off, me, a 34-year-old male, my ex-wife, 35-year-old female. And he describes her affair partner, it's AP, the neighbor, and the neighbor's wife, call her M. Me and my wife married in 2009. We had our baby in 2010. In November 2010, while she was asleep, a message popped on her phone and was a flirty message. I checked on her phone, and it was from our neighbor. I went through every single message, which included sexting, sharing nudes, and even had planned meetups at hotels. This was going on from the first week into our marriage. It felt like my world crumbled in front of me. I took screenshots of every message and saved it on my phone. Next day, I contacted M, the neighbor's wife, and let her know about the affair. So this has been going on since the week they got married. Can you imagine that? I mean, it's like, why the hell did this woman bother to get married if she was going to do this right away? But she was probably at a certain age that she needed a meal ticket, someone to pay the bills, but she still wanted to have her fun on the side, right? And you're going to see about that personality of hers is going to come back later on down the road to show you truly that people don't change, a leopard doesn't change its spots. He says they were married for 4 years, this is the neighbor and his wife, and had their first baby almost the exact same time as we had ours. I confronted my wife and told her that I'm going to give her a divorce. She started crying and everything else, but I did not consider it. I also did a paternity test on our child, the son, because the affair timeline was the same as the conception date. Very smart of this guy. A lot of guys wouldn't have done that, After 2 days, when I came home from work, our baby was crying in our bed, and X, his wife, was nowhere to be seen. Then I found a letter of her telling that she did not love me and she had left with AP, the affair partner, and not to contact them. I knew this was coming, but I didn't believe that a mother can leave her child, who was 6 months old, alone and can run off with her lover. It's bad enough that she was cheating on this guy from the first week that they got married and hooking up with the neighbor and having the affair. That's bad enough. But the fact that she just took off and left her 6-month-old child, I mean, that is unforgivable. The child's there in the house alone, crying. God knows what could happen to the kid, right? I mean, absolute sociopath there. Freaking crazy. I then went to M's house. She had received the same letter by her husband. I felt sorry for her as she was going through postpartum depression, had her baby just a few months ago, and was left alone. Also, paternity test result came back, and he was my son. Well, that's good. I tried to contact the ex's family, but they also didn't know where she was and was shocked by her behavior. Her father even said that if she ever came back, she would not be allowed to enter their house. They basically disowned her. Well, that's awesome. Good family. It's interesting that people don't change. So he described her family as being shocked to her behavior. I'm sure there were clues and signs about her personality growing up. Like when someone does something really outrageous like this, people then look back and say, you know what? That kind of makes sense. That time that person did that, or that time that person said that. Things start to connect. That's why, guys, you got to always pay attention to people, what their actions are, and also what they say, but especially their actions, to kind of get to know who they really are. You always have to, it's unfortunate that you got to always be kind of on edge and always, minding your surroundings and also people, because just unfortunately you just never know with people what can happen, what they can do to you. He continues on. Elle was very supportive. Elle, later on you're going to find Elle really means M, his neighbor's wife. Okay. I'm just going to say M going forward to avoid confusion here. M was very supportive. She began coming to my house to watch the kids and even breastfed both of them, hers and mine. As time passed, we were like family. My son called her mom and had known only her as the mom. We also decided to go on dates. We got engaged a year later and married in 2013. We had our first child in 2015. We often discussed things about our exes and how we were often disrespected by them. We were a happy family. So how about that? He gets together with the neighbor's wife, the guy, the guy that was the affair partner that was banging his wife. Okay, but obviously, as you can tell here, it wasn't about revenge, as they both needed each other and helped each other out. And obviously, fell in love, if whatever you want to call love, and they became a family. And so, hey, if it worked for them, cool. And obviously she was there for him and he was there for her, and then works with the kids. So that's a situation, at least right now, it sounds like it's pretty good. So that's nice to hear. In 2018, when my son accidentally saw a picture of my ex, a picture after birth, so I included M with me and him. So we decided to tell him about his birth mother. And said that the ex had died in a car accident years ago, and that M took care of him since he was 6 months old. I don't know if that was a very good idea, saying that she got into a car accident, because obviously the truth is going to come out, and the kid's not going to like being lied to. But I can see where, is a knee-jerk reaction response to a situation like that. Fast forward to 2 days ago, I received an anonymous email. I opened it, and it read, "I want to see my son, and I want my family back. We are not divorced yet. I knew it was my ex. I showed this to M. M started freaking out and asked me if I would take her back. I calmed her down and told her that she was an ugly past and I would never leave you. I would never take her back. Now I'm confused what to do. I will definitely not take her back, but I should let her meet my son or not. Should I take my son's opportunity to have connection with his birth mother?" Well, number one, of course he's not going to take her back, because she is an absolute psycho, abandoning her son and all that, not to mention what she did to him. But also, the guy's obviously worried about would she have potentially have custody. There could be any issues. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about this stuff, but I'm pretty darn sure that by her abandoning the child, and literally abandoning the child, leaving it in the crib and taking off, pretty much that severed all parental rights and claims that she could possibly have. Okay, I don't know this, but any lawyers, anybody else experienced that, let me know in the comment section. But I'm sure that's done. There's no way she's going to have that chance. And wondering, should he tell the son, and wondering, let her see her, I would say, no freaking way let her see the son. Not a chance, because she screwed up that opportunity, okay? And she's just going to screw the kid up. The kid obviously has a very good situation with the dad, and obviously the stepmother. The stepmother obviously treats the child like her own, which is awesome. No fucking way should the ex have anything to do with this child. She'll just screw it up, right? Guaranteed. And now it continues on with an update. He says, "Thank you for such a response. A lot has happened since the last time. Also, I didn't want to post an update as many people in comments thought it was fake, but to this day, I'm getting messages of an update, so I decided to update you all. So let's start by saying that we didn't require court or a lawyer. Some of you claim that she would have no parental rights over my son, as she abandoned us years ago. So that's what I thought. To confirm the claim, I contacted my friend who is a lawyer and confirmed that she could face a heavy fine, termination of parental rights, and jail. I told him about the time period of abandonment and asked what were the chances of winning my case. He told me that if a parent fails to contact physically to a child for over a year, 99% of the time he or she is given termination of parental rights. I had a huge sigh of relief after listening to those words. I also joined therapy with my son so that I can tell him the truth about his biological mother. Well, that's what I thought about the whole parental rights thing. That's awesome. That's really great to hear. And with him going into therapy to tell him the truth about his mother, I think that's a good idea. I believe the child, regardless that she's obviously trash and abandoned, the child's obviously 9 or 10 years old now. The child old enough, not a little kid, but obviously still a kid. The child deserves to know, and ultimately the issue is going to be is when that kid actually wants to see his mom, which that usually happens. I would basically say not until you're 18, kid, or she was your mom, but you know what? Not a good idea. Who knows? I'm not a parent, so I would never have to deal with a situation like that, and I'm sure every case is a little different. He continues, as I wanted to find out why she contacted me after 10 years, I messaged her father, and he says, who is still a best friend of mine and gives me some good advice. He wants to know whether the ex contacted his family or not. Turns out that she had contacted her sister for money from time to time for about 10 years, but now her sister is not willing to help her as she was asking a bit more money. I asked about her conditions on whether introducing her to my son would be a good idea or not. He answered by saying she has a minimum wage job and lives in a small apartment with 3 roommates. By listening to him say this, I felt bad for her, but she earned it. He said that she would have a bad influence on her son, so it's better not to introduce him to X. So, number one, that's awesome that he still talks to he still has a relationship with the ex's family. They sound like good people, especially they're good people when the father said basically she's out of the picture, she's disowned, and obviously there for the grandchild. But it says a whole lot when even her own father says, no, do not let her see your child. No way, it's a bad idea. And she would have a bad influence, guaranteed. She would screw that kid up. And hey, karma's a bitch because she's there working a minimum wage job, living with 3 roommates all crammed in one little place. Ha ha ha, karma's a bitch. And no surprise that the only reason she was reaching out to the family was to get money from the sister. So obviously the only reason she's reaching out to this guy is that she is obviously desperate and probably thinks that he's obviously such a nice guy that he'll give her money and all that, or use the kid to get money. Guaranteed. It's really sad, but this woman's an absolute sociopath. Continues on. Next, I called her sister and asked her what was their conversation like over the past 10 years. She told me everything, how the ex contacted her only for money because after paying rent, she had no money left for groceries and other utilities. The ex never asked about my son, but only for money. There you go. Says everything you need to know. I asked her about relationship between the ex and the affair partner, to which she replied, he is in prison for sexual assault since 2015. I don't know why, but I felt happy upon hearing this news. There you go. I asked her whether X knows about the divorce or not. She said the ex has no idea about the divorce and she still thinks we are legally married. I asked her to tell X about everything, divorce, child custody, my new family, and that she has no right over my son. That's got to be a great feeling and a great thing for him to be able to say. I mean, that's awesome. I told everything to M, and she was a bit surprised by the ex's behavior. She never thought a mother could be so careless toward her own son. She was shocked to hear the news about the affair partner. It's been 30 days, and the ex has not contacted us. Family counseling is going great, and we've decided to legally adopt one another's kids. I don't think the ex will contact, as her sister might have told her about her position in the case legally, and she would just waste money by hiring an attorney. If something happens, I'll update you guys. Well, that's quite a story, and again, it goes to show you that there's lots of great fathers out there and lots of rotten mothers. And again, it infuriates me that so many times the state will give the custody rights to the mother versus giving to a great father simply because she's the mother. That's a bunch of crap, okay? And am I saying they're all like this? No, but there are a lot of rotten mothers out there that have no rights, no business at all raising children. But I think it's a great story. This guy obviously got his life together. He started with the neighbor, which is definitely kind of interesting and funny, and has a great thing going on with her. So I think that's awesome, okay? But again, no surprise. The only reason she was reaching out was for money. That's it. And obviously, she's not going to have money to get an attorney. So, because the lawyers, they got to get paid, and she's obviously making minimum wage. So, anyhow, guys, that'd be a good story to share with you guys. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.